Back in August of 2015, a little hero-based shooter by the name of Paladins, which was to be developed by Hi-Rez Studio, was announced for the first time. Eventually, this game would go on to reach players' hands later that year for the closed beta, and then went into open beta the following September. The game saw almost immediate success, as within a week of the open beta on Steam, the game had reached 800,000 downloads and was well within the top 10 most played games on Steam. As the game went on, it continued to see pretty decent player numbers, eventually releasing in 2018 and getting over 45 million players as of December 2020. The game at that point was released for PC, PS4, Xbox, and on June 12th also released for the Nintendo Switch. While today the player base isn't nearly as big as the initial launch peak, the game still averages roughly 9,500 players on Steam alone, which is a pretty decent number and healthy enough to keep the game going as Hi-Rez continues to drop updates, most recently with their Ruby crossover event. At one point, Paladins even had a pretty healthy professional circuit, with tournaments being played all across the globe, though sadly that was shut down in 2021. On release, the game received pretty decent reviews. On Metacritic, it had an 83 average, though the later Switch port that I mentioned earlier did only get a 74. Publications like IGN gave favorable reviews, stating, "Working on top of the strong and fairly balanced foundation of a free-to-play hero shooter, Paladins' capacity for experimentation is its greatest strength." Many other publications said similar things, though one thing many of these publications struggled with was the obvious similarities to the behemoth of the genre being Overwatch. Hi-Rez CEO Todd Harris said at the time that while Overwatch is a fine game, it was not the inspiration for Paladins. Game development is an interactive process with many ideas coming from past projects. For the hero shooter genre, the game that deserves the most credit is Team Fortress 2. He then goes on to talk about how they actually released a TF2 inspired class-based shooter back in the day called Global Agenda, and how Paladins actually reuses a lot of combat abilities from Global Agenda. Whether or not this is true, which it most likely is based on how development cycles work, most likely Overwatch and Paladins both had a similar idea to be class-based shooters. The fact though was that at the time, Overwatch was a much bigger game by Blizzard with a much bigger marketing budget and a fair bit more polish. So that left Paladins always feeling like the cheaper free-to-play ripoff, even though players who sunk time into both could easily notice the major design differences. Shermie actually did a fantastic video on this back in the day, but one of the main strengths that Paladins always had over Overwatch was the flexibility. In Overwatch, each character seemed built to be played a specific way. You played the character the way it was built using the abilities and the toolbox you were given, and if you wanted to switch it up, you would switch to a different character. The difference though is that in Paladins, with the combination of the talents you can pick from, the loadouts that you can create with the loadout system, and the items you can buy during the game, Paladins allowed players to hone in a build that fit their specific playstyle on their character of choice. This allowed characters to be a lot more flexible and also allowed for a lot of unique creativity from the player base. Though to be honest, usually with a system like this, there is usually still a meta option for each of the characters, but if you're not going super deep into it, you can kind of experiment and play these characters in a lot of different ways. Just picking a different talent alone can make one of the characters feel a lot different. So today, while hype for the game may be down, though honestly the entire class-based shooter genre kind of seems to be overshadowed by battle royales at the moment, I do just really want to note the staying power of Paladins. It, along with Overwatch, are the two main class-based shooters that really exist today, with a graveyard of games like Lawbreakers, Battleborn, Paragon, and many others in their wake. Paladins continues to stand the test of time and seems poised to get continued support for the indefinite future, which is something you can actually give Hi-Rez a lot of credit for, as while they might not create the most popular and the biggest games in the world, their games do seem to pick up pretty dedicated fan bases that they will continue to support for a long time. So with all that said, let's hop in and answer the question, can you still play Paladins? So this is the main menu if you have all the graphics turned up, but if you happen to have to play the game on low settings or you turn them down for extra frames, this is how the characters look, and it's absolutely hilarious. But with that said, let's just hop into some games. So obviously, like we talked about in the opener of this video, Paladins is a class-based shooter similar to Overwatch. The main difference being the fact that this game kind of has like a card and loadout system, which lets you kind of customize your character a little bit more than you can in Overwatch. You can kind of put your own spin on how you want to play the character a little bit, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility. Some people like that, some people don't, you know, personal preference, but overall the gunplay is really crisp. Obviously the game runs amazing. It's not saying much for when it came out and how it looks today, but the game is a lot of fun, and you know, I've been having a pretty dang good time hopping in and playing and, you know, just getting a triple kill here while talking. Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh no, I forgot to reload. Forgot to reload. Oh my god, I'm dropping the ult right in front of me. So this game also has an item system, which is another difference that it has from Overwatch. Normally, I do not have auto purchase on, but I just have it on for now because it's easier to talk and kind of record this video and not have to worry about that stuff. And in all honesty, the lobbies that I'm playing in right now, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of get by just shooting things, in my opinion. But if you were to hop into a ranked game or something like that, you're going to want to make sure you're buying the items that are optimal and everything like that. Same with the loadout system and the perk that you're picking. You're going to want to make sure you're picking an optimal loadout based on what you're trying to do with your character. But for what we're doing here, you know, this works plenty good. It is kind of cool to see, especially Paladins, you know, continue on going. We talked about it a little bit in the last video when we covered Rogue Company, but Hi-Rez is definitely an interesting studio. They kind of seem to put out games which is like X game with a spin. And at the time, although there were a lot of changes that I've talked about briefly, like the loadout system and the fact that you can pick a perk and you can buy items during the game, which all differentiates it a good amount from Overwatch. At the end of the day, a lot of people still looked at Paladins as if it was free to play Overwatch. In case it wasn't obvious, the point of this game mode is you have to capture this point in the middle, and then once either team captures it, depending on if you capture it or you don't, you then would either push the payload or be the team that's trying to defend the payload from being pushed. So it's like a kind of combination of like a capture point mode with the payload mode that you would be familiar with if you played TF2 or, you know, obviously Overwatch. I won't lie, the gunplay in Paladins makes you feel like a god at aiming. The hitboxes are very generous. It definitely makes the focus... Oh my god, I'm living with my heal. Yo, I out-healed him. That's hilarious. So I've mostly, in all honesty, been playing the flank and damage characters. That's what I find more fun, but you can still have a lot of fun playing tank or healer in this game, in all honesty. I don't know why I followed that person. It's funny because like if you play this game after playing a lot of Overwatch or honestly just playing a lot of other class shooters, I guess now that I think about it, Valorant is definitely one that still exists to this day, which came out a lot later than the other ones. But Valorant's a lot different because it has the tactical shooter elements kind of infused with the class-based shooter elements. It's kind of funny because you can see the DNA. I mean, just like other games, you know, there's only so many unique ideas that are in the world for characters. So you can kind of see like this character has X character for another game's ability combined with another character from another game, and so it's kind of fun to see like how different things kind of get mixed and matched to make, you know, fun and unique characters. There are so many different characters that you can kind of familiarize yourself with and find the one that you enjoy best, and they actually had some cool bundles if you're trying to get really into Paladins today that lets you pick up a lot of the characters at not a terrible price instead of having to like grind them all or buy them all one at a time. So it's not a bad deal, even today, if you're trying to get into Paladins, which can be something that becomes like a little bit harder with games that have a bunch of characters that have been out for a while. But it doesn't really feel too bad in Paladins, especially because the default characters are actually pretty good too. Like the ones that just gives you by default seem perfectly playable. Oh, nice. The DPS guy stood in front. How convenient. So if we hold him here and they don't push it any further, we'll actually get another chance. So we'll see if we can do it. No, 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 no. Got ult. Ah! It is crazy trying to kind of hop into this game now a little bit though, because there's so many characters that half the time I have no clue what the abilities around me are doing. You're just kind of going in and hoping for the best. You just learn your character and try and make sure you're not getting yourself into too terrible of a position. There we go. Oh no. All right, not that shit again. Not falling for that again. Oh, that person was one shot. Ah, dang it. Before we hop into another game here, there are 4 game modes. We were playing Siege, so we'll play a different game mode this time around. Obviously, there's a ranked mode, there's some training modes, custom modes, but there's this thing, and I don't know what this is, but it looks straight out of a mobile game. And I don't know, I just thought it was pretty funny. Honestly, a lot of the stuff in this game has very mobile-esque vibes. The gameplay is definitely solid and the game's solid, but there is some serious mobile game vibes going on for certain parts of the UI. One thing that's really nice is the queue times are still really quick in Paladins. Paladins. Now, if you go into the ranked mode, that might be a little different, but if you're just playing the unranked mode, I've had no problems finding matches basically any time of night, because the other night when I was playing this, we were actually playing pretty late. We're gonna hop in and play Cassie. I actually really enjoy her. She has a crossbow and she's a damage character. I think she's pretty good, though I don't really know the whole kind of tier list and meta of Paladins, I'm not gonna lie. So one nice thing too about Paladins, if you're not in battle for a little bit, you will start to heal. So while healers are definitely still kind of, you know, needed, you can just kind of disengage for a little bit and start to get your health back. Ah! Yo, get him, he's so low. Nice. Oh, owie, owie. Oh, ow, we're on a spree. There we go, there we go. You can hit the shots with Cassie, she does a ton of damage. But obviously if you're whiffing, she's not the best. We're literally shooting. Are multiple people AFK back here? Alright, fuck it. Oh my god, I suck. I suck. Alright, there we go. When in doubt, use your ability to get out. My Victor aim is definitely a lot better than my projectile aim. I guess this would make sense because in Overwatch I was a hit scan player too, so sometimes my crossbow shots are on point, and then I also just go in and whiff like 4 in a row. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Someone kill this person in the corner, please. Please. Dang it. No, no. Well, that'll do it. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for Paladins. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Make sure you follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the good places, and comment below what game we should cover next in this series. With that said, we'll see you all next time.